Welcome to John's Corner, where our star reporter Jonathan always lands on his feet. He's a hard-hitting reporter who isn't afraid to throw a punch or to take one. He's always investigating the issues that others shy away from, uncovering even the biggest of scandals, while learning every secret he can. Here on John's Corner. What's up, Blue River Nation? It's your boy Jonathan, and welcome back to John's Corner. Now, as you guys are watching this, the Arrowverse has returned with the amazing, incredible first episode of Batwoman. I'm assuming. I haven't seen it yet. It's actually Saturday as I record this. But it looks badass, so I'm excited for it. I'm hoping it's everything I hope it is. But I mean, look, they have yet to let us down. Seriously, name one thing they did that have let us down. Arrow's amazing. Flash is amazing. Supergirl's amazing. Legends is so underrated, yet so amazing. I have complete faith in them, and I know they're going to kill it. But I thought, in honor of Arrowverse coming back, and in honor of just how unbelievably excited I am for the Crisis on Infinite Earths storyline, which they've really been setting up since the beginning of Flash, I thought we could talk about all the shows that are potentially crossing over. Now, we're going to exclude, obviously, Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Legends, and Batwoman, because they're all the mainstream universe. Even though Supergirl's a separate universe, but still, come on, it's part of it. It's tied into it intricately. So we're going to exclude all of them. Which brings the obvious choice. The show that everyone's like, is it part of the universe? Is it not? It sometimes references, it sometimes doesn't, but never seen it a crossover. Black Lightning. Black Lightning will be a part of this crossover. Now, does that mean that he's part of this Earth, or does it mean that he's one of the people who get recruited and come to this Earth? I don't know. I don't care. I'm just excited that he's a part of it. I love that show, and I've always wanted to see him and Oliver kind of interact, because him and Oliver have a lot in common, and I just want to see them interact. So I'm excited, man. Jefferson Paris and Oliver Queen, that's going to be a good pairing. Then we have the other obvious one is the 1990s Flash TV show, which crossed over in the last crossover when we find out that the whole world was destroyed and he's the only one who survives. Kind of, I don't know, it's kind of left up like what happens to him, but apparently he's coming back. Now, that actor could be playing half a dozen characters because he's played half a dozen characters on the show. But I'm hoping that they bring that. But either way, they connected that show to this universe, which is awesome and exciting and just wow. There's rumor that Linda Carter's Wonder Woman is going to be a part of it from 1977, which is pretty intense. Like, that was a good show. I don't know if you guys remember with her twirling around and fighting crimes. The first season's in World War II, and then the rest is more modern time. But it's such a great show. Burt Ward is coming back, maybe as Robin, so maybe they'll be tying in Batman 66. It's pretty awesome, right? I mean, it's corny, but it's good corny. Pow, boom, bang. Like, it's fun. It's fun, and that's what comic book shows should be. There should be fun. Like, Flash is fun. Legends is amazingly fun. Kevin Conroy's coming back as Batman, so if he's playing his Batman that he's been playing, then that means that they're tying in the Timverse, the Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Static Shock, Justice League, Superman, that Zeta show. All of those would be tied into this, and that would be incredible because those are all such great shows. I mean, Static Shock, that's my childhood. Like, we're going back to the Saturday morning cartoons. And let's be honest, Kevin Conroy is one of the best Batmans we've ever had. So him coming back as an older Batman, like straight out of Batman Beyond, that would be amazing. Before we move on to other things, we got other Batman, Birds of Prey, which is a show that I remember watching in first run syndication, and then like, what happened to it? It just got canceled out of nowhere. But it was fun. It was about Batman and Catwoman's daughter teaming up with Oracle, fighting crime. It was fun. It was called Birds of Prey, and so apparently some of them are coming back for this crossover. That's tying that in. Like, I don't know if you could get more exciting than all of this. Then you have Tom Welling from Smallville coming in to play Superman, revising his role from that show. And apparently, they're going to acknowledge the season 11 comics, which I haven't read. I've been trying to get my hands on. But that's cool. They're keeping that canon. They're doing a Veronica Mars where they kept the books canon. I think that's awesome. Like, I think more stuff should do that. If Disney had done that with Star Wars, I'd still be ahead. Moving on. Oh, I just think that'd be awesome. Moving on. And then we have Ray Palmer from Legends. He's coming back as a Superman. For a while, they just said he was going to be Kingdom Come Superman. But now it's revealed that he's going to be, yes, still Kingdom Come Superman. And the costume looks amazing. But it's going to be a sequel to Superman Returns, which in itself is a sequel to Superman 1 and 2 from Richard Donner. So we're getting a conclusion to that storyline, which I just think is awesome. And there's speculation that he might be one of the main characters in this crossover, which I also think would just be awesome. I don't think I've ever been this excited for anything in a long, long time. And I'm a Marvel fan first and foremost. So the fact that a DC thing, I think, is even more hype than Endgame was. And you can ask Ashley. I was crying like a baby while watching Endgame. So you don't want to be near me when I'm watching these 5 episodes. And then there's also a rumor that Nick Cage's Superman from Superman Lives, the movie that never was, is going to be in it, which I think would be kind of weird. But hey, I trust him. And also, if you can get Nick Cage on a TV show crossover, that would be pretty impressive. But it's enough about nerding out about the Arrowverse. Let's see what Jonathan over at Nostalgia 100 has to say. Look, it's a bird. No, it's a plane. No, it's Super John. I stand for truth, justice, and the Blue Roof Way. Why do I call you? Because you need content. Now shut up. Today on Nostalgia 100, you will believe a man can fly. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the one, the only, the OG Superman movie by the one and only Richard Donner. Now, if you haven't seen this movie from the 70s, it is a gem. I think it still holds up as one of the best Superman, if not one of the best comic book movies of all time. It's just, it's fun, it's lighthearted, it's serious. It's everything you want a movie to be on top of being a comic book movie. You got a Lex Luthor who is corny and kind of cheesebally. You got a Superman who is caring and loving, and he plays the Man of Steel. As well as I'm a dorky reporter named Cloud Kane. I don't know why I did that voice, but that's how he plays it. Yeah, you see him like when he's Superman, he stands upright. When he's Clark Kent, he hunches over a little bit. It's just it's so subtle, yet it works. He really does feel like 2 different people. Nobody has defined Superman the way that Christopher Reeve has done it. And it's not a slight against all the actors who have come after him. Or George Reeves, who was amazing. If you've never seen The Adventures of Superman, you should check it out. But it's just, it's a compliment to him. He defined that character and that role so much. And you got a quirky Lex Luthor. You got a badass Lois Lane who has flaws. She can't spell, which is kind of a funny little thing. I can relate. But at the same time, she takes no prisoners. She's not afraid to speak her mind. She's very forthright. Then you have Jimmy Olsen, who's kind of bumbling. You have Perry White, who's very no nonsense. It's a fun movie. The only real drawback to this movie is they split it in half. The second movie, which is about Zod, was supposed to be a part of this movie, but that would have been way too much movie. But it's why they set Zod up in the beginning of this movie, because they were going to end it with him. I think they made the right choice, and the next episode I do might be about the second movie, because that's still one of my favorite comic movies of all time. But this is not about that movie. This is about episode 1. This is about the first Superman movie. Now in this movie, a lot of this movie is set up. Like it's a 2.5 hour movie, and the first hour or so of it is just set up. Like, he doesn't put on the cape for a long time. It's not even Christopher Reeves for a long time. It deals with Krypton in the beginning, kind of like how Man of Steel did. Except this Krypton isn't such an action scene. It's a lot more elegant. And then it deals with, it also deals with the death of Jonathan Kent. Because I feel like the death of Jonathan Kent is such a monumental part of Superman. It's like all superheroes. The death of a character, particularly a father figure, helps define them. Except the Lois and Clark show, they never killed off Jonathan Kent. And he was a great Jonathan Kent. But But this one, they do it in a way that is so human and so real and teaches Clark a valuable lesson. It's not like some other movie where Clark watches his dad die and does nothing even though he could save him. This one, his father was taken from him by a heart attack. There was nothing he could do. He couldn't have stopped it even if he tried. And I think that's important. I think that's impactful. I think it hits him where it counts, you know? And it really defined the way he goes. And so when we do finally get him in the Superman costume, well, if you've seen the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, it does kind of that, except obviously did it a couple decades ahead of time. But we see him just solving a bunch of crime, helping people, stopping criminals, getting cats out of trees. It very much establishes, oh, he's a hero. And here's everyone getting to know him as he goes about being a hero. It's cool. It's a montage. But it works. Now, the main plot of this movie is Lex Luthor doing a weird real estate scheme. Which you might be asking, a superhero movie dealing with a real estate scheme? Why? But, I mean, if you lived in a sewer, you'd want to do a real estate scheme too. It just makes sense. Now, I say he lives in a sewer, but his sewer is even nicer than the sewer from Ninja Turtles 2. But that's not the point. The point is he lives in a sewer, and he wants to do a real estate scheme. So he wants to hit the San Andreas fault line and knock all of the West Coast into the ocean. So all this property he bought would now become beachfront property, and he would make a killing. Superman obviously tries to stop him, and Lex Luthor busts out kryptonite, throws him in a pool. Lex's secretary gives him a kiss and saves him, sends him on his way, and he doesn't stop the missile. The missile strikes and causes all these earthquakes, but he manages to stop it. I mean, this Superman is so powerful. He literally stops the fault line from continuing to rupture, and he keeps the West Coast attached. He even lays down and lets a train run across his back. It's so cool. But the one thing he doesn't manage to do is save Lois Lane. While she's driving and she runs out of gas, fault line comes, she falls in and she gets buried alive. And it's a long ass scene of her slowly getting buried alive as Superman's doing other stuff. They just went for it. Like, they didn't even hold back. And he gets there seconds after she dies. And he just, no. And then he flies around the earth backwards and rewinds time to save her. It's such an iconic scene. And it fits, it works because, especially because earlier in the script, earlier in the movie, Superman, he lands on Lois's roof and he takes her flying and they meet each other. She does an interview with him and they just bond and connect. And it's such a romantic but moving scene that it sets up the ending to where you could believe Superman would risk everything to save her. Even though he kind of still barely knows her. But you buy it. And then it's funny because then he shows up as Clark Kent to take her on a date. And she just could care less. Like, she's so infatuated with Superman that she could care less about Clark. And he's tempted to tell her, but he doesn't. He holds back. It's an action movie. It's an epic hero movie. It's a goofball comedy, and it's also a romantic comedy all in one, and it blends all of these different genres so perfectly together. Like, it's a masterpiece. If you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. But till next time, I'm Jonathan. This is Nostalgia 100. Up and over there! He's trying to get me sued. He's like legit trying to get me sued. I'm going to have to call legal. Next episode. Welcome back to a 90 Kids Guide to Television. I'm Jonathan, and today we talk about the Superman show that I grew up on. Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. This came out when I was a kid, so I used to watch it all the time. And I loved it. It's not your normal superhero show. It's a spin on it. It's a romantic comedy that superhero stuff happens in the background. Like a lot of superhero shows, they have that romantic interest, but that's not the meat of it. The meat of it is the superheroics. But this show, the meat of it was the romance. It was very much like Spider-Man when Stan Lee was writing it. Peter Parker was the star. Spider-Man was a supporting character. Well, this show's very much, it's about Clark Kent. And Superman was a supporting character. It was interesting the way they did it, and it just worked. I think a large part of it rested on Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher and their chemistry because they just fit so well together. The bickering, the romance, all of it, You buy them as a couple. You buy them as she can't stand him. He's crazy about her, and slowly he wins her heart. It's such a 90s trope that they don't really do on television anymore, and I miss it. It was fun. Like the slowly falling in love through years and years of back and forth bickering. Romance. But it was fun. It's also one of the few versions of Superman where Jonathan Kent doesn't die. But it's kind of a cool thing because the Kents in the show are so perfect, so loving, caring. I think they're some of television's best parents. And you buy that Superman is Superman because of these two parents. Like the way they raised him and the values they gave him, you believe that he would grow up to be this great, outstanding guy. And then you have Lex Luthor, who is charming and dangerous, which is fun. You have Perry White and his obsession with Elvis Presley, which is beyond amazing. Season 1, you have Cat Grant. Season 1, you have Cat Grant, who you may know from the new Supergirl show. Well, but in this one, she was like a crazed, she was trying to hook up with Superman so hardcore. It's funny. And then you have both Jimmy Olsen's. The first one was really cool, but the second one is just so perfect for the show. It's like that whole cast was just perfection. And they had cool things like H.G. Wells would show up with a time machine and take them through time. You had Superman meeting other Kryptons and wearing the black suit and it getting all dark. And then you have that crazy cliffhanger that the show just ends on. Like, I need to know what happens next. So I'm really hoping, like, they've announced that that Brandon Routh's Superman is going to be Christopher Reeve's first two Supermans and his Superman Returns as a sequel to that. So I'm hoping they bring back Smallville. I'm hoping this Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher show up. They've both been on Supergirl before, so I'm hoping they show up in the Arrowverse and we get conclusion to that storyline as well, because that would just be amazing. But if you haven't seen the show, you definitely need to check it out. Till next time, I'm Jonathan. It's the 90 Kids Guide to Television. Give us legends. Are you sure? No. I need you to be 100% sure, because I cannot handle another lawsuit. Hold on. Hey, you guys are back. Without further ado, let's get to the next show. I cannot handle this. Well, that's just weird. But yeah, moving on. Welcome to A Year in Comics for the great year of 1945. I'm your host, Jonathan. I gotta warn you, this is a short episode, but let's jump over to the wonderful world of Timely. I caught myself that time. Well, it was the end of the Captain America-led book, USA Comics, as well as the start, like I said last time, of Patchy Walker's her own comic book, which kind of tells you what this era was. This was very much the death of superheroes and the birth of romance comic books. Timely Comics was looking like Archie Comics. So, yeah, but the one cool thing that did happen in this year was that Stan Lee came back as editor-in-chief. He had come back from World War II and retook his job as editor-in-chief, so that's cool. Yes, not really a lot going on in Marvel this time, at least not that I find enthusiastically exciting. But over in the world of DC, we get the first issue of the Marvel family, which was Shazam's family. From the Shazam movie, all the different Shazams. Well, they got a book, like a family title book in this year. And Mary Marvel got her own book as well. So it's very Shazam heavy over in DC, but that's really it for this year. So without further ado, let's check back in with our main Jonathan and see if he's still on the phone, because yeah, I hope not. Just fucking handle it. God, what do I fucking... Oh, you guys are back. Hi. Yes, that was great, wasn't it? That was the most informational, entertaining thing I've ever seen. Yes, it was. Well, yeah, so this was John's Corner. Till next time. God damn it. What the fuck do you want now?